Greetings. My name is Alaenura and I'm here in Waterloo Park under my favorite willow tree, my medicine tree. It's a twisted willow and it's just completely, takes my breath away. So here I am, tuning in under this beautiful being, still bearing its leaves and definitely exuding such an incredible energy. And I really wanted to tune in today because we're in a place at the moment where we're just turning up the seasons and so much, how can I put it, so much transmutation and as human beings, what we're really encouraged to do at this time is to gracefully turn with the seasons. And the seasons of the planet also mirror and reflect the seasons within our own souls. And sometimes a turning of a season happens after 15, 20 years. It could be every 3 months. For women, the biological or reproductive system is expressed itself as every 28 days. It's another turning season of a period. And here we are now, moving into autumn and moving now into the last stage now before we get to the end of this solar year, 21st of December 2013. So much to celebrate. 2013, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware of, has really been a time of homecoming, rebirthing, realigning, the old falling away, opening up to new possibilities, really accepting the truth of who we are and releasing all of the roles and the synthetic aspects of identity. So, and that's been quite difficult because of all the programming and the conditioning that we've all been a part of, particularly in the West. What I found about this year also, it's definitely been a year of actually connecting with like-minded people and actually sharing our story and realizing that our stories or our experience is actually part of a collective human experience. And therefore it's nothing to be ashamed of. Shame in itself is something that holds us hostage. It stops us from opening up, and it also causes a rigidity and a freezing of the soul and a clamping up of our full expression of self. And sometimes shame is almost encouraged because so many people hide this aspect of themselves away and feel scared to open up in these places. I'd like to continue to expand on that in terms of the last podcast was about sensitivity, and I'd like to touch on vulnerability. And vulnerability is such that, how can I put it? Vulnerability, if you imagine your heart, and like so many people have created all these protective shields around their heart, these protective shields and a force field, and then a brick wall, and so many different things to protect their heart from ever being broken. And yet, what that does, in actuality, is holds the pain and the hurt within. It stops it from ever being healed. So in other words, we continue as the walking wounded, and it's this pain that we carry around with us, which takes on a consciousness that is expressed through our unconscious selves, through unexpressed emotions and undealt with issues. And also our vulnerability is such that it's something that we often protect because of these reasons. And sometimes it also creates a certain amount of bartering. I'm not going to show you my wounds unless you show me yours, and how do I know you're not going to hurt me? The truth of the matter is that most people are already hurting in that area, and really what's required is for us to create a sacred, safe place for us to offer these areas of tenderness or vulnerability, just to be aired, just to be held, just to be shared without expectation, without judgment. And as we encourage that and actually realize that we all have our vulnerability, and that's actually what's so beautiful. And by expressing our vulnerability makes us so beautiful. It's the most beautiful aspect of ourselves when you see someone who's really able to share their vulnerability and express it spontaneously even. You know, it's true ability to create a state of complete bliss and love around you where everyone feels that thing. It's almost as if, oh my God, how do you do that for those people who are unable to? So, vulnerability. For me, vulnerability is a place that I've struggled with in terms of really acknowledging what's vulnerable about me and offering that up in a relationship. And yet, that part of me always ends up, or generally ends up being taken care of by myself. I think this area is really that part of self that requires to be looked after by the parent within you, to heal the child-mother relationship, to really do that work on the inner child, and to protect that child. Because quite often it's these areas that have become vulnerable within us that have been left unattended, that have been left on the shelf or locked away somewhere and not given the love that the inner child required at that time. Or then we were spoken at rather than seen and really acknowledged. So many people ended up going out there and following a whole lot of other people who were lost and disenfranchised and really didn't feel connected at home. So, for example, a lot of men went out there and became preoccupied in being a man. I'm not going to show my emotions, you know. And men don't do that. And women would project their stuff on men or end up being a victim. And this whole thing would end up playing itself out between the sexes and between one another and family members. And I mean, I know that to be true for myself. I mean, I don't know how that has been for a lot of you, and I think really that's what a lot of us are feeling. It's real deep family issues that we end up playing out on the world outside and to people around us. And this really truly is a time now to be dealing with these human issues, or these issues that affect all of us, because we are one human family. And as a consequence, we create further relationships so we can be fully expressed, but also so we can heal these aspects around us. And if only we would now move forward and have the courage to really begin to talk about these things and to share them, because they really are quite exquisite feelings. And not only are they exquisite, they truly are precious. and it's the energy of the gods and of the angels, and real divinity, and a place of complete sacred allowing. So much can shift in that time, and as a consequence, sometimes when someone can offer themselves up to be heard, or as the listener, we think, oh my God, this is love, because no one's ever done that for me before. No one's ever been so present before. I've never experienced love like this before. But true love is unconditional, and we can present that to one another, to our children, to our lovers. Literally create a loving, create a sacred space. I call that laying a spiritual table between you and another person, where you can be naked, literally, no pressure about, you can take the masks off, and you can be vulnerable, and you can be open, and something really alchemical happens in that place whereby you're able to be all of you. And I love that. I spent so many years in hiding. So many people out there are still in hiding. They're only a facsimile of who they truly are, playing the part of plenty. There's this saying, they teach us to be vain so we don't feel the pain. Vanity, covering up with all kinds of things, including jobs and religion and position and sex and sexuality, roles. It just covers up who we really are. And just like this tree that's been standing here, it came about through a seed and is anchored to the earth and reaches up to the skies, twisting itself into infinity, expressing itself, does not ask for permission to be itself. Here in all its splendor and all its uniqueness, does not try to be anything than what it is. And at the same time is a complete reflection of who we are, and that's exactly who we are. We need not to ask permission or try and be anything else that we are than who we are, and who really now has the courage to step forward in their nakedness, metaphorically, and come out and say, this is who I am, this is where I hurt. Where do you hurt? This is how I love, this is how I choose to love. It's another form of vulnerability. It's a frequency. It's a deep frequency. It's an inner frequency. And one may look at the word vulnerable as something, it's delicate. Yes, it's delicate, but it's not, and it's soft. When someone cries, they soften. When someone feels joy, there's a softening that happens. So, vulnerability isn't something that should be avoided. It should actually be something that's encouraged, but in the safety of a space that is set up on a heart energy with complete intention between you and another person, or between you and a group of people. It could be your family, your friends, or whoever. And completely so we can unfold our petals, so we can be like Mother Nature, like these trees. We can flow like the river. We can be entwined, attached, because we are all one. We can be as one. There really is no separation. Detachment also means detaching ourselves from what holds us bondage. We practice the path of least resistance. But also, before we can completely embody that path of least resistance, it is important for us to detach ourselves from those aspects within us that is causing us dis-ease, that is causing us pain, locking that pain. This is the time now to have the courage to let that go and to let it out. Yes, I come here every so often and I just sit by this tree. And I use this tree, I ask this tree if I can exchange energy here, where I can use this portal, which is this tree, as an avenue to ground myself and to remember myself. And I often spend quite a long period here, completely connecting. It's a form of qigong. I connect with the energy of the tree, and as a mirror, I allow this tree to serve as a mirror for myself, and I activate the energy within myself. It is really quite something, and I allow the tree to communicate with me what movements to do. And I'm often asked to use the tree as a support as I become one with the tree, become weightless. So I'm going to leave this for now. Namaste.
Krishna